Hi everyone, I'm Kiran Lodani from Dubiz Consultancy. Today we are going to be interviewing Miss Jocelyn from Smartdeer company. Hi Jocelyn, thank you so much
Hello.
for coming here. It is delighting to have you in our podcast show. Please give us a little bit of brief with regards to your business. How did you bring your branch as a company to Dubai from your parent country of Hong Kong?
Okay. Thank you very much for having me, Kiran. So our company is called Smartdeer. We are headquartered in Hong Kong, and we have been operating in the Middle East for the past few years. I'm sure you know how we started here because you helped us form our company. So basically, what we are doing here is we help companies to do recruitment. We help them with their mobility of staff and help them with payroll.
Okay, that's interesting. I would like to know how is Dubai different from rest of the world as a leading global talent pool?
That's a very good question. So, diversity is the most important attribute of Dubai. And that's a huge advantage to a lot of international companies, but at the same time, a very unique challenge in terms of talent sourcing. In many countries within the same industry, we observe the similar pattern in terms of talent acquisition for many companies. But for example, in Silicon Valley, usually the tech giants and startup they would source candidates from the top U.S. universities. And for example, in Guangzhou, a big trading hub, there are a lot of graduates majoring in international trades and experienced talents in such an industry, which makes it very easy for the HR to navigate, the right match. But in Dubai, it's quite different. Young talents here, they graduate from universities all around the world. Each university have their own system and standard, so it's quite hard to benchmark their qualifications. And for experienced talent pool, for many companies, even within the same industries, the right match is always the one who have the right experience, the right culture, and who also speak the right languages. For example, in French companies, they might prefer French speaking candidates to represent their company to their culture, and for Chinese company it's very common for them to hire managers who can speak Mandarin so they can communicate with the headquarter. So I think the key point here for HR is to prioritize what's really important and necessary for this role. For example, if you're hiring sales manager who can deal with clients all over the GCC, then you probably need somebody who can speak Arabic or Arabic as their native
Right. Yeah.
language. And usually, such candidates is quite hard to navigate for many industries, especially for high tech. So I think identify what's important here. So what's important here is usually their corporate experience, their sales experience. So I think HR can consider hiring somebody who have the strong experience, and then if Arabic is a must, then hire a sales assistant, for the manager to assist communicating with the clients as such.
Okay. That's interesting, Jocelyn. Jocelyn, how is recruitment laws in UAE different from the other countries? Is it more difficult to comply in UAE comparatively to the other parts of the world?
I think that's a very good question. Dubai is an expat-driven city, so 90% of the workforce here are expats. So I think for companies, it's 100% that you would need to deal with visas, work permits, deal with the immigrations, etc. So it's hard to say whether it's easy or difficult to comply with the UAE law. The UAE law is very standard and structured, and they have been practiced for the few decades. But I would say maybe for bigger organizations, it's easier because usually for big companies, they will have multiple functions supporting contracts, medical insurance, visas, etc. But then for smaller companies, especially the one who have just arrived in Dubai, I think they should leverage the consulting firms, or corporate service companies to help them to follow the UAE rules. And I think that's what you and I are doing every day.
Yes, that's exactly true. What are usually the benefits for the companies or the industry currently to rather outsource the recruitment agency than to have one in-house?
I see. I think that's a very interesting questions. A lot of clients actually, when they move to UAE, they will ask me that question as well, whether they will use in-house HR that's based in their home country, or they would have an in-house recruitment HR here, and whether they should use headhunting service or not. And I think my answer is definitely in UAE, you should use a headhunter. There are many benefits to it. First of all, um, when you're posting a job online, usually you only get candidates who are actively looking for jobs. But again, Dubai is an expat driven city. Most of the expats here are already with jobs. So they are what we call the passive candidates. So, having headhunters can help you navigate those passive candidates. And the second reason being, a lot of in-house HRs they will use online platforms such as LinkedIn or local talent platforms to help them find candidates. But their business model is based on subscription fees, and nowadays those subscription fees are no longer cheap. It could be as expensive as headhunting services, and they focuses more on quantity, while headhunting is a success based business model. They usually charge only after the candidates enrolled and pass their probation period. So it's no brainer that the ROI of headhunting service it's higher and more certain.
Okay, okay. Jocelyn, is it easier to find experienced candidates in UAE? Understanding the fact which you and me, we both know that there has been a rise in foreign immigrants in UAE now.
Yeah, so I would say it really depends on the industry. When we are looking at the top industry contributing to the GDP of UAE, such as like trading, oil and gas, tourism, automotive. So this industry has been quite matured, for the past few decades. So talents in these industries are not difficult to find, but the uprising industries such as fintech, AI, healthcare tech, etc. It's harder to navigate talents in those industries. And what a lot of companies do is to, basically find candidates in Europe and
Yeah,
US and bring them
you're
to
right.
UAE.
Yes.
But I think what's very interesting, I think we have spoken about it for the past few months, that there are a lot of Web3 companies
Yeah.
coming to the UAE. So, even 2 years ago, I was working in the Web3 industry as well. And at that time, a lot of companies moved to UAE because of they are seeking for a safe harbor for operation and a regulated environment to grow their business. And, for the past 2 years, there's an influx of Web3 talents coming to UAE from Singapore, Australia, US, Korea. And I think, now whichever cafe you go to, in Dubai to work from there, you can hear crypto people everywhere talking about launching their projects,
Yeah.
launching their tokens. So I think for any Web3 companies now, if they want to set up and operate, Dubai would be a great choice.
I agree on your this point completely because I can see that Dubai is transforming into an advanced technology as well. The entire system are actually getting digitalized if we would compare into the previous generations. Right.
Totally.
Jocelyn, you and me, we both know this very, very well that in today's time, the motto is that candidate is a king, right? The major reason why people say this because candidates are the one that actually helps the companies to rise the company and to assist them to a great height. So, just want to understand that when you would compare to the previous past times and today, how exactly has the difference in this eccentric approach has taken?
Okay. I think that's a very good question, Kiran. I do want to, I think we can take a step back to see what's been happening for the past 2, 3 years. You know, after the pandemic, there has been an influx of foreign companies setting up their overseas branch here in Dubai, and it did create a lot of job opportunities. But you know, here's the thing: a lot of companies are also using the recruitment process to for market research purpose. So a lot of company posted, you know, fake jobs to do market research. I think a lot of candidates has been going round and round of interviews, and you know, being asked to do case studies with deadlines, only you know to receive no feedback, no response, or at best, you know, being told that the position was retrieved. I think the Dubai talents are pretty traumatized, you know, by those experience. And you know, but for the HRs and the companies who have done that, you know, I believe that they have ended up losing their reputation. And you know, people talks in Dubai. It's a word of mouth society. So I think for new companies coming to Dubai, um, definitely they should keep in mind that candidates is king, because you always need to leverage people who have local experience to grow your local business. And I think it would be Dubai people are very extroverted and you know quite open. I would suggest, you know, for any company who comes here, if you want to do market research, or you know, through interviews, you can actually be transparent to and reach out to people that I might not have the position, but this is what I want to know, and I do want to know more to see if I should open this headcount for this position. I think people in Dubai are actually pretty open to help. So it's important for companies to keep it genuine and professional.
Okay. So Jocelyn, how is the paperwork different in terms when you deal on your daily basis for the payrolls, for the salaries, contract, labor works, comparatively to the other countries, maybe Hong Kong, for an
Okay.
example?
Okay. I think that's a very good question, Kiran. You know, so first of all, thanks to the digitalization of the government, we don't need to deal with the actual paper anymore. So, for the entire life cycle of the employee, we don't need to deal with paper anymore. You know, for the employment contracts, visa application forms, all of these can be done digitally and can be signed electronically. So, but in terms of payroll, I think companies should really wait. But in terms of payroll, I would say companies need to wait. What's my word? Yeah. So, but in terms of payroll, I think for any mainland company should definitely be looking at their WPS compliance. So, the Wages Protective System (WPS) is a regulated system, you know, mandated by the Ministry of Human Resources and the Central Bank of UAE to look to supervise, you know, the payroll, the salary payout of the employer. So, the minimum requirement of WPS for all the mainland company is 90%, meaning you know, for the lump sum amount of salary that you ought to pay to all of your employees, 90% should be paid through WPS. So and we see that it has been more strict, you know, the rules has been more strict. We have also, you know, for the since 2024, the ministry has also been more strict in terms of company complying to WPS.
Okay. Thank you so much, Jocelyn, for sharing such detailed information. It's going to be very helpful for us. It's a pleasure to have you here.
It's my
We
pleasure.
wish you all the best, you and your company, for your future.
Thank you very much, Kira.